So the Trump administration is finally doing what crazy Trump has said he was going to do. So the Trump administration sent Congress a notification that the U.S. is officially withdrawing from the World Health Organization, according to sources. So now the World Health Organization is put together, to resolve things like pandemics and help make vaccines and get everybody in the scientific and community and others together, right? We kind of expected this from Trump because Trump basically is a maniac and he's dumb and he's stupid. I know Trump's person, he's the smartest man in America. The son of a gun doesn't even know how to manage himself out of a wet paper bag. Let's just put it out there. So we have had problems with international organizations, right? Like, for example, during the Bush administration, the International Court said, hey, don't invade Iraq. You're breaking international law. Right? Like they're like, stop torturing people. You're breaking international law. And Bush was like, who cares? I don't care. Right? And but Bush didn't pull out of the World Health Organization. He just ignored their asses. But Trump, like, for example, when they told him, hey, don't block Iran from getting medicine. Are you crazy? Trump was like, oh, yeah? Well, I'm just going to do it anyway. So we pulled out of the International Criminal Court because Donald Trump was like, oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Well, I'm just going to take my ball and go home. I can't believe you're telling me I can't do this. I can't believe... Right? So he's crying like a little bitch because they told him he couldn't do something. And so he was like, okay, fine. You really want to do this? Fine. Go ahead. I'm going to pull out of the World Health Organization or the International Criminal Court. And now he's pulling out of the World Health Organization. Now, look, I don't think the World Health Organization is an agency that didn't make mistakes. I mean, we all know how this pandemic started. It was in China. It was in a lab. They were doing a failed experiment. Someone went home with this thing. They infected their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their husband, their wife, their brother, their sister, whoever. That person then went out, infected everybody else, and so did the person who got it. And it started the pandemic in China, and then it went all over the goddamn world, and now we're here, right? Well, basically, in a sense, China knew about this for a long time, all the way back in October, I think. And there's reports that the World Health Organization was playing cahoots with China, and they also didn't warn people, but who knows, right? But again, this is Trump pulling out. Now, if you think about this, we had the League of Nations back then, right? And it was to try and stop all war, to try and resolve world conflict. Well, it fell apart. Woodrow Wilson was like, I want to do this. And the Senate Democrats were like, yeah, no. And some Republicans. And then we had other issues, right? You had, like the U.S., when we don't like something, we just go in guns blazing. Like, okay, you know what? We don't like this. We're going to go in guns blazing, and we want our way, which is the problem here, is that the U.S. has always had problems with the International Criminal Court. It's probably why the League of Nations failed anyway, because the U.S. didn't get their way in what it actually wanted to do. Every time the U.S. doesn't get their way, they bully international organizations and try and topple them, and they try and do a whole bunch of crap because they didn't get their way. Well, the biggest issue here is Trump didn't get his way. And this now creates a power vacuum. It's kind of like when we invade certain countries and then we leave, or we leave them all destroyed and all of that, and then we take out their leadership, and then it leaves a vacuum for terrorism, the slave markets, and all of that. Well, this is now leaving a vacuum, and China's doing what we did during the Marshall Plan. In the Marshall Plan, we basically helped Europe rebuild. because U.S. wasn't as destroyed at all, really. It was just Pearl Harbor. Europe was basically in tatters. It was gone. And they had to rebuild. And if you remember back in the 50s, we had this thing where we were butting heads with the Soviet Union because we said, oh, they're communists. And anything red was counted as communism. You had Joseph McCarthy and McCarthyism, blacklisting politicians he didn't agree with, celebrities in Hollywood, anybody. You lost your job, you lost your career, you lost everything because of that. And there's songs like Get That Communist Joe. It's literally like, go, get him, Joe. Get that communist. And so what we did was, like, for example, China started aligning themselves with the Soviet Union. So what the U.S. did was it went to China, it went to Japan, it went to others who were once the communist, Japan and all of that. And they kind of still are, really. And the U.S. said, hey, we'll help you rebuild. We did that so that they would go, oh, okay, cool, we owe you now. We built up their infrastructure. We made business deals. Corporations started making things over there so that they could rebuild for their people and for their economies. Now you have China that is rising and rising and rising. And it's going to all these third world countries going, hey, we'll rebuild your infrastructure. If you want, we can do that. Is it cool? We can do this infrastructure. We can do this. We can do that. We can have a business deal. Yeah, cool. We already know what's going to happen. Those countries are desperate. They're going to say yes. Now China's gaining more power. Now it's going to become a superpower, and U.S. is going to be the laughingstock. You think it is now? It already is. Remember when Trump was like, we're going to become the laughingstock, folks. People are laughing. I mean, they were, because we suck and we don't get our way and we come at people. But now they're really laughing at us. Like, regardless, hey, maybe they were in cahoots or whatever. Why didn't Trump, as the main international power, go, hey, you don't have a fucking army. We're going to fix you. You need to reform. No, Trump is like a little bitch, a little baby, like, yeah, I didn't get my words. I'm going to go home. Mommy! That's just my impressions of him. And he's like, fine, we'll pull out. Which shows, he's trying to be all macho and, yes, I'm the macho Trump. But, like, it just shows he's definitely not strong. He's a weak ass. I dare any Trump supporter to come on this podcast and tell me otherwise. Trump is so weak. Like, he can't even go in there with his big tough guy balls and go, we're going to reform you and you're going to like it. Like the U.S. is used to doing. Instead, we're going to go home. Yeah. So, U.S. is officially withdrawing from them. This could create an issue both on economics and trade, but also social policies. Like, this could have a profound effect on everything we know. But, for Trump supporters, this is everything they asked for in a maniac.